Hello, and welcome to today's adventure with Slow Ride Guide. Today we're paddling in the Lighthouse Lakes trails. My favorite. Been doing this for a long time. Love this place. Winding creeks, connected to open flats. Every ingredient you look for in planning your day on the water. Today I'm on the west end of Lighthouse Lakes. Launched at the park, went through the trails a little bit, through the little winding paths, just going into the wind, just spending my time this morning, just paddling. Some days I start paddling and I just don't quit. I just love the feel of the boat sliding through the water, exploring this place. It goes on and on. So I'm gonna give it a few more maybe a mile or so into the wind, and I'm gonna set it up with a beautiful drift all the way back where I came from. So early in the morning, I never stop moving. I like to explore unless something just obvious pops up in front of me. Kind of weird day, a little north wind. Wasn't really predicted to be windy today, but you never can trust that. But this morning, I'm making it up into an area. It's called the South Bay Slough. It's a huge funnel that feeds into the Lighthouse Lakes. As the tide drops out, a lot of water flows through this place towards the open flats, towards the channel. So I'm gonna make my way up in here till it just can't really go any further. Turn around and we'll see how the day goes. Appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, I'm back here where I want to be. Beautiful paddle this morning. I own this place today. Peaceful out here. But didn't see any tailing fish. Didn't see any schools of reds. Earlier this week, I had some great schools roaming around that gave it away from a long distance. We're just past the full moon. That's never favorable. For whatever reason, the full moon does have its rhythm. It tends to be a little better afternoon bite or very early morning. So kind of gloomy today, hard to see into the water. Here we are in the middle of March, which is really known for some very windy days, but it's not that windy today, not too bad. So what I'm seeing this morning is swirls, a little bit of life, but not really aggressive, not really active. Just as I paddle along, I kick up some mud stirs. I've seen a few redfish. I've pushed a few up as I've moved along, and when they kick up, they don't go real far. You can see them settle back down. It's not like a torpedo that takes off across the flats and keeps running. So they're kind of in a chill mood this morning. But what I am seeing is some lazy wakes along the edges. Just gonna do some blind casting this morning. Start out with the topwater, cover some area, make a few casts. When I'm searching, when I'm blind casting, when I'm looking, I'll pull to an area and just fan out some casts. Put one over here, see if I can wake somebody up. Steady retrieve. These guys have been hitting it on the run. So if you have a fish down there cruising or just sitting in a sand hole, as the topwater swims past them, they'll come out and charge at it. It's got to be a really lucky cast when you're just blind casting at the water though. It's got to be in front of the fish. It's got to be in that range where they can see it, and they got to want to come after it. A lot of times, if if it's not in that perfect range, they'll just let it pass them by. So kind of getting tuned in to what's moving around out here this morning and see if they give me any opportunities. Topwater is a great fish finder. It looks for fish, it finds fish, it covers a lot of water in a short time. And if I do get some follows, if I start kicking up fish, if I wake them up with the topwater and they don't hit, I will back that up with a soft plastic. And then if I get some nice sight casting opportunities, if I actually see some tails or some cruising fish, I got the fly rod with me today. So lots of options, lots of opportunity. Beautiful morning out here today. All right, there we go. Spent some time in the bushes, made it out to the edge, just blind casting on a dreary day. Had a couple of follows, but maybe they're getting in a better mood. That's a good one. They always try to put the hook in my leg to go under the boat, round and round. But beautiful redfish. Oh yeah. That's the kind of attitude we like. Woof that topwater. Dang, that one's in there. So started out early in the bushes all through the Lighthouse lakes, cruising. Now I'm out here on the open flats. The wind is behind me, making my way to the truck. Nice one. All right, let's see if we can do that again. Today I covered a lot of miles this morning. So when I'm in an adventurous paddling mood, I love this Tarpon 140. Look at there. Look, I got one follow. Follow. No. There we go. Nice. Fish on. So yeah, the Wilderness Systems Tarpon 140. When you want to travel some distance, it's the way to go. It's an efficient paddling machine. There's a lot of other kayaks out there that are more comfortable, more amenities, but for efficient paddling and the ability to get where you need to be to catch these fish, the Tarpon is my boat. This one's fired up. Alright, started out kind of slow this morning, but it appears that I'm on to something. The grass beds out here, when you get in the open water, they really change. There's shoal grass, there's turtle grass, there's sand holes. It's just a really different type of terrain than back in the lakes. Inside the lakes, there's a lot of mushy grass. At this time of year, it hasn't started growing real good yet. It's just really different inside the lakes compared to out here on the open flats. So this morning, it appears that it's what they're liking. Appreciate you guys stopping in today. Talk a little bit about fishing Redfish Bay, kayak fishing, light action, 10-pound line, topwater lure, good as it gets. So I spent some time out here in the open water, kind of drifted away from the shoreline, a couple 100 yards, hit a couple of nice schools, just some beautiful blow-ups. Topwater action is amazing. I'm gonna give this a few more minutes. I'm gonna adjust my drift. I'm gonna work my way back towards the shoreline and set it up where I drift out again. Sometimes you'll find a range, you'll find an area where those fish are paralleling the shorelines, kind of cruising. I drifted through a nice little flurry of action, and I'm gonna try to duplicate that. I'm gonna backtrack and kind of duplicate that again. So none of this is etched in stone. You figure it out every day when you're out here. So you try a few things. If you're not feeling it, you move around, try something else. If you get out of that action, sometimes it's good to backtrack. Sometimes it works out for me. Sometimes I'll just continue on that long drift. But today, I'm gonna turn back, set it up on the shoreline, and drift that range again. See how it works out. Just got quiet out here after a nice little flurry of action. So let's back it up, see if we can't do it again. All right, I just want to take a minute and talk about the tackle I'm using today. The FTU green rod, the spinner, light action. It's an amazing piece of gear for throwing topwaters, working a lure across the surface. Amazingly strong, light. A lot of technology built into this thing. Shimano spinning reel, 10-pound braid, just drifting, slow drifting across the flats, fanning out cast. Really high tide today, a little bit higher than normal. Light north wind. Here we are, the middle of March, right after the full moon. Really great conditions. Middle of the week, not a lot of people out here, and just a great day, beautiful day on Redfish Bay. Okay, well, here we are, back in that range. The moon's gone down and the sun's come up. Working my way back towards the road a little bit. Wind in my back. Lovely drift, just able to put every cast right where I want it to be, covering a lot of water. Every once in a while we'll get a jumping mullet, but overall the bait activity has been very quiet today. Kicking up fish as my lure comes in, stirring up some action, but they're just laid up. They're just not in that aggressive mode. So crossed paths with a couple of beauties, had a great flurry of action there for a minute, but no little fish today. Everything that hits has been a good fish. Everything that's gotten aggressive and chased that lure has been a good fish. Nothing small today. Kind of interesting. Usually you go through a lot of dinks, a lot of rats to get to that big fish, but not so much today. But I'm gonna spend a little more time cruising the shorelines, drifting out, 50 or so yards from the edge. See how the mid-morning goes. Covering water is what found the fish today. Not a lot of clues, nothing giving it away, just random casting and a lot of it. Okay, so I've made my way back to the road near the channel. Amazing trip, way back in the flats, about 3 miles today. Round trip probably equals about 5 miles. Probably as the crow flies was about 2 miles in. But when you're on a meandering path, whenever you're winding and looking, that line gets much longer. But the fish I found this morning, definitely a long way from the road. The action that I got into was a pretty good way. Spent a lot of time working my way back. The clouds went away, the sun came out, and that action just got quieter and quieter. Not sure where the speckled trout were hiding today. It's usually mixed up with a lot of little fish. As we travel across and make that many casts, you cross paths with something along the way. Still kicking up mud stirs, still bumping fish as I move along, but those guys are just not feeding. They're not in aggressive mood right now. 1 week past the full moon, the entire week after the full moon to me is always challenging for the mid-morning bite. So caught some good fish today, wasn't too bad. Never complain about a kayak fishing trip in the Lighthouse Lakes trails. One of the most amazing places to spend the day. The windy season is right around the corner, so really blessed to have a day like today. But do appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, click like. As the series moves along, I'm gonna take this to the classroom, have ways to explain in more detail the tides and the terrain and tactics and gear selection, why we use what we use as the seasons adjust, or as we adjust to the seasons with different tackle, different gear, how the tides change throughout the seasons. So it's really easy to explain in the classroom. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned for upcoming shows, and as always, Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time with Slow Ride Guide.